Good afternoon. Welcome back to United TV. You might be able to see from the thumbnail that we might be looking at a little bit of Richard Rios today, but we are going to be looking at Manchester United's defensive midfielder shortlist. It's not a shortlist. There's going to be 9 people on that as well as Richard Rios. But because there's been a couple of stories about Richard Rios this morning, I thought we'd cover this quickly and just see if he's going to be any sort of consideration with the players we're looking at. This is something which has been discussed maybe a lot last summer. He was an option before he went to Benfica. The price would be about 39 million. So I will go into that in a bit more detail, and we can have a look whether he's actually on the radar at all in terms of like being an option for Manchester United. When we come into the main discussion today, we're going to be looking at this short list of familiar names. And Tchouaméni has been talked about again by different journalists. He's going to be one where at the moment it looks very much for Tchouaméni that the situation is probably going to be contract negotiation with Real Madrid. So I don't want to say loads about Tchouaméni. I think the situation is going to be that he would be very expensive if Manchester United wanted him. At this point in time, I'm not sure if Manchester United are going to be making any sort of decision regarding that player at all. I think we just have to wait and see if he actually re-signs at Real Madrid. So when we look at it, Tchouaméni, apparently just to put it out there, apparently the price is going to be about, well, at least 70 million. So that's kind of about where the price point for Tchouaméni is going to be. But I think it's going to be a situation where, if I had to guess, I think he stays at Real Madrid. I think it's going to be a Real Madrid player and it's going to be a contract negotiation. That's what I'm thinking. I think Manchester United, if he was available, would be interested, but I'm not sure if Tchouaméni really wants to leave Real Madrid for Manchester United. Hopefully, we find out some sort of clarification at some point. I'm guessing with Manchester United, the best thing is to press on and look at other options. And I think that's what they're doing at the moment. So, looking at this, say, see 9 midfielders on the screen. Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a lot of different people to talk about. So, we're looking at this one. Richard Rios is number 10. So, that's the 10th one in terms of looking at people on the screen. So, the Richard Rios, does anyone actually have any thoughts regarding this player? That if you were following the transfer news last season, we were looking at him and saying he might cost about 20-25 million. There was a discussion about Richard Rios as an option last summer. I don't think anything really materialised. We moved on from that quite quickly. But the story about Richard Rios is obviously he went to Benfica, and there is quite a big release clause. And you would say that with Richard Rios, he did very well in the Club World Cup as well, and say at the moment this season, I think he's done quite well, had quite good performances. 6'1", very athletic, very mobile. I think a lot of people were looking at him after Manchester United missed him, and I think he was actually, in terms of some of the stats, dual winning abilities, he was unbelievable at the Club World Cup last summer. He was playing for Palmeiras at that point in time, and I think he went as far as the quarterfinal. But no, people were talking about him last season as a player Manchester United should be looking for. He went for 26 million, so it seemed like a really good deal last summer. Now there seems to be some interest from Premier League teams. Also, I think Napoli might be interested as well. It seems that Manchester United are. I don't think we're forerunners in this, but I think we just want to be kept interested. This one, there was a crazy release clause at one point, like a crazy release clause of 87 million. This was meaning that a deal was never going to be happening. Now, an offer of about 39 million is described as this would get the deal done. I think he's I'm not sure how old he is at the moment, so I'll have a look at that as well. But in terms of this, there's been described, this is what I've read. It's been described that Rios is probably going to stay in the capital. So it's unlikely he'll stay there beyond the summer. It's looking like Benfica are probably thinking that if he does well in the World Cup for Colombia, his price could go up a lot. So there's going to be a few players that potentially, if they do well at the World Cup, their price is going to soar. At the moment, Fulham are interested, have made contact. Also, Napoli are in the process of looking at trying to make an offer. There's no doubt that if Napoli are trying to buy a player, Manchester United will be able to spend a little bit more, but I don't think there's any sort of conversation about any sort of bidding war. This is probably going to be along the lines of Manchester United probably should have got this deal done last season if they wanted to get a pretty good price. At the moment, at 39 million, where does this compare with other options that we're currently looking at? So I think you have to look at it in terms of we're going to be going for quite a few different quite a few different options. What do people think about regarding where does he stand? And that's what I'm thinking. Where does he stand in terms of like your list? So if we go back to let's go back to the kind of I say short list. It's becoming longer and longer by the weeks, isn't it? At some point, I won't be able to get all the pictures on the screen in one go. So yeah, looking at this. Also, big up to Lou as well. Thank you so much for the raid. Some people, make sure you check out that channel as well. So this is the question I've got, just to kind of give like ask some sort of opinions regarding this one as well. So I'm looking at this and big up to Danny just getting in the chat as well. And so looking at these players, what do people think in terms of Manchester United shortlist? There's probably like one or two names you could add to this as well. There's a Gume. There's probably maybe you're looking at some of those players like Bawadi. I do rate quite highly, but some of those players are probably off the list. So this was just taken from I think this might be Ben Jacobs putting out some information saying that these are the main targets. I think most of the names are going to be very familiar with everybody that's been looking at Manchester United news recently. At the moment, probably Anderson, Tchouaméni, and Tonali on the top line are ones talked about the most. I would say that there's a few other people that have been in the discussion. There's actually becoming a little bit more said recently. Belieber put in a very good performance yesterday. Brighton playing well as a team, actually in a good run of form. And so maybe people are looking at that and thinking, considering that Chelsea have got £200 million worth of midfield players, it's a lot, isn't it? So, given that, I think most people have a good idea of how much these people are going to cost. And what do people think? Like, where do you put Richard Rios in this list? Like, is he going to be someone that's going to be potentially like your third option? As in, like, if you look at the options on the table, if you're trying to get Anderson or Tonali, Tchouaméni, they're going to be the most expensive. I would guess. I think the second, after you go beyond that, I think you're still going to pay quite a lot of money. And maybe you could put Hayden Hackney on this list as well as a cheaper option. So where would you put and how much would you be putting in terms of that? So for me, I look at Richard Rios and think if we could have got him for 26 million, you're talking about a cheaper deal than Hayden Hackney. And I would be seriously thinking that that should have been something we'd have gone for last season. The fact he's like 39 million is potentially actually quite good quite a good deal, I suppose. 39 million. Is there anyone on this list that we could get for that amount of money? Probably not. I think when you go down to that sort of price, I think even people looking at Gomez, even though Wolves have been relegated, I don't think you're going to get any bargains. Like there will be a lot of these players being touted to different clubs. So I think some of the players that have been, for relegated teams, I don't think they're going to be significantly reduced in price. That even actually, I suppose one player that's missing from this list would be Fernandez. I think so. Maybe Fernandez would be one player for West Ham that possibly should be on this list. That's another one I think is he's been playing well recently. There's no doubt that in my mind that West Ham, if they get relegated, then it's going to be what happened in the first half of the season. They've been actually very good since January. It's just they might have left themselves a bit too much to do. But so my question that I'm looking for some answers in the chat. My question was, where would you rate Richard Rios as a potential signing? Would you look at Richard Rios and go backup option, third option? That when we're looking at it, I would say if you're looking at Manchester United's current squad, if you're looking at Kobe Mainoo and Casemiro as being the starting players, we're probably looking to replace Casemiro. And I think with Richard Rios, you might be looking at right. This is going to be a backup option. He's not going to be taking Kobe Mainoo's place. I don't think he's going to be taking the next signing's place either. If we sign it, I would probably say if we're going to sign a Premier League player as a starter, that's probably going to be the only ones on this list I think that would be in line to start that aren't Premier League would probably be too many, probably Angela Stiller. I think beyond that, I would say Manchester United would be looking in the Premier League. So I think Richard Rios would be there if the price was right. The price would have to be right. At this point in time, I think the most likely destination might be Fulham. If Fulham and Napoli are both looking to buy the player, I'd imagine that despite Napoli being very high in Serie A, I'd imagine that Fulham could probably offer a little bit more money. There is more money kicking around the Premier League, so That would be where I'm guessing this player to go. And so you go for say João Gomez over Richard Rios every day. That's probably maybe I should put a poll in the chat just as a talking point to see what people think because the price is going to we know roughly what the price is going to be. So it makes it a bit easier discussion. When we don't know the price, it's always a bit difficult to say, isn't it? It's a bit difficult to actually um, say whether you think it's a good idea or not. So I'll say, should United put the poll? Should United sign, say Rios? We'll put 39 million. So I think that's how much they want. So 39 million. This is in pounds as well. So I'll put the currency there so people know exactly how much. So should United sign Rios for 39 million pounds? If this is the option, then United have said they're going to go for three. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be three expensive players. So you'd have to have in mind that probably two quite expensive players. There is room for a third. Cody saying you go for Gomez over Rios all day. I suppose at the moment you'd probably consider those two to be the most equal in price. That's what I'm thinking. They're probably the most equal in price regarding that one. Welcome to you, Luca. So Jared Gomez is better, cheaper, Premier League experience. Actually, the price would be quite similar, wouldn't it? Say 35 million, Rios 39 million, pretty similar, pretty similar. So what I'm kind of hoping is that if people have got some different ideas, different views, get this in. The reason why I covered Rios, I've got Rios on the thumbnail is because there was a story suggesting that Benfica looking to sell, looking at the price. It's effectively his 26 million last season. It's gone up by exactly 50%, isn't it? So 39 million pounds is what it's going to cost. 26 million pounds last year was a no-brainer, wasn't it? It was a cheap deal. And I think United, if we're looking like that, we spent a lot of money on attacking players last season. And at the end of it, we tried to get Belieber. I think Manchester United saw Rios as a bit of a gamble last season and weren't willing to take it. The only player we were willing to take was maybe Gallagher if we could have got him on loan. So it seems that the Richard Rios situation, it might be that the timelines aren't really aligned. And if we were going to get him, we'd have got him last season. And this season, we're actually looking at more expensive players. So again, I think United went for Belieber. They wasted a lot of time over the season with probably the Embremo and Sesko deals. By the time they came to looking at midfield, it was very much like I think they thought they were generally going to get Belieber for a certain price, and maybe that was what was happening. But no, interesting. So I'm going to go for a couple of comments that do talk about Rios and Yarly. Big up to you in the chat. Says defensive midfielder in a team that is undefeated in the league. Undefeated this season. I didn't realize they were undefeated. So undefeated this season. Um, so playing for Benfica. So this is good. You can make comparisons between Manchester United are sometimes linked to Hjulmand. Hjulmand was supposed to be approximately had a very high release clause, but that wouldn't have been how much you'd be looking to pay for him. So I think that's comparable, isn't it? But Richard Rios also at international level, Club World Cup, I was saying in Palmeiras, did kind of come to the fore, was playing very well. I think it's difficult at this point in time with that. There does seem to be a little bit of a not a bias, but it does seem to be that Manchester United want to push forward with Premier League players. So Bilal says not Rios again. So this might be the only stream we talk about Richard Rios. And as I said, the reason why is just to put his name into the hat with a lot of other options. It's just because of the stories coming out that Richard Rios is very likely to leave Benfica sometime over the summer. I mean, he's only been there a year, but they are going to make a definitely a profit on the deal. But it seems that he's going to leave. It seems that the teams that are most proactive at the moment are Fulham. And to be honest, I know when we looked at Kadioglu as fans and we rated Kadioglu, He went to Fulham. That was a deal I thought Manchester United could have looked into as well. And we did do a stream discussing Kadioglu back when he was linked to Fulham. I thought we should have hijacked that deal. And now Richard Rios might well be a Fulham player next season. And now Fulham generally do quite well with some of these purchases. It might be a situation that we could be looking at as well. And so no, I look at this and think actually maybe there's a chance that Man United think they if this is a cheap deal, possibly, but I don't think it would be in line with like their flagship signings. So I think the Richard Rios thing is definitely unlikely, but I think it's definitely going to be uh, something to consider as a different option. I would probably be going for maybe something. What is it that actually? Now, welcome, Mr. B. Welcome. Yeah, no, it's got a good name. I can't argue with that, but I don't know if it's necessarily the right option for Manchester United at this point in time. I think he's good, and I think he would have been an improvement on what we had last season. There's no doubt in my mind that if we had Richard Rios as an option when Casemiro's not playing, I think we would have seen better results this season. The question is going to be, are Manchester United going to buy players that are better than Richard Rios instead? So if Richard Rios is better than Agate, in my view, and would have been useful certainly because we had a combination of Agate, Toby Collier's options if we're not using Mainu, but no, it's so, but Ian says Rios is a no. There are too many better options, and that's what I'm thinking. That he would have been potentially a good option last season. Maybe we're looking for different options that are going to be possibly a better fit. Again, it is at this point in time. It's going to be also looking at some of these players on the list, if we're going to be signing three midfielders, I think you have to bear in mind that at least one or two of them are going to be sat on the bench. So I don't think you're going to sit too many on the bench. I don't think you're going to sit Anderson or Tonali on the bench. So in mind, looking at this, maybe Gomez, Belieber's surely not going to be sat on the bench either. Wharton. So I don't think you can sign three players on this list unless you're looking at potentially going for one cheaper deal somewhere. And I think Hayden Hackley is an obvious one. Buwadi, maybe another one that's a younger player coming through. Maybe that's going to be the way Manchester United go. I was thinking that at this point in time, there may be like a surprise deal at some point. It is something that might be happening. That might be going along those lines. I say we could spend the money we saved on the players we loaned out on Rios. Good point. Could we do a trade? Actually, this one is this one actually makes the most sense in terms of like potential moves. That if you're looking at Agate, he's probably going to be leaving Manchester United, and you could probably look around different leagues and say that I think the Portuguese league might be the best option for him at the moment, considering he had success there. And I know he played for Sporting. Would that be a problem with him going to Benfica? I'm not sure. I'm not sure which are the biggest rivals in the Portuguese league. But if Agati went to Benfica, Rios to United, maybe that could be. I'd imagine actually, if we could, if 39 million is the valuation of Rios, then even if we had to spend a little bit to get the deal done, that might be not a bad deal. I would guess that possibly I'm not sure what contract Agate is on, but it might be a little bit more expensive than the price that some of the Benfica players are on. But I think that's one deal that, in terms of like Agate leaving Manchester United, I think the Portuguese league would be a sensible destination. I'm not sure if Benfica have got any players lined up to replace Rios. So that's probably one thing that probably would be good to know if there was any information out there. But yeah, I'm not so sure regarding this one. So let's go through a few of these questions. And I think people are going to have like different views on this one as well. So can we have a spreadsheet of the? It's getting towards that stage, isn't it? It's getting towards that stage where it's difficult to track every single player linked. So I'm hoping that what happens over the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping that we see that say that this list of nine players, and this is not extensive either. There are other players that we can't fit on the screen that we can talk about, but just this is kind of a starting point. So if you just joined the stream, If you're looking at who Manchester United are going to sign next season, if we don't get somebody that's on the screen now, something's gone seriously wrong because these are some of the main targets we've been linked to for weeks and months. But in terms of like average age, say if you're looking at the average age or the age of these players, I don't think we're looking for anybody that's over 25, 26. And most of the players are going to be a bit younger than that. So we're looking at players that are between 21 and 26. And given like this, the position is going to be some might be more defensive, more attacking, but we're going to be primarily looking for maybe one more defensive, one a bit more attacking as two options, but also potentially all rounders. I think if you're looking at Rios, he can do a bit of both as well. If you're looking at say too many, a lot more defensive. Anderson, a bit of everything. So price wise, though, honestly, price wise is going to be. I think if you're looking at it, the top row is going to be the most expensive. They're all going to be pretty pricey. Anderson, no one knows what it'll cost. Tonali, everybody thinks he's going to cost a fortune. And Tchouaméni's the one I saw this morning that apparently Real Madrid would want at least 70 to 80 million. But I think Tchouaméni is the least likely on this list at the moment. I think Tchouaméni is the least likely because I don't know if he wants to leave, but Real Madrid don't want him to leave, so they want him to sign a new contract. So I just think this is, I think it's agent led. That's my guess. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I've seen this story before with other players. I think he's going to be a Real Madrid player next season. I'll say Yari says that Rios would not be a starter, but he would be that third midfielder we need. And so we're getting one or two expensive midfielders, so we need a cheap one to be that. That's kind of exactly where I was thinking with guarding this one. I was thinking that Rios would would definitely be. He'd be like a replacement for Agate, wouldn't he? Like Agate's on the bench, but he does need to play matches, and with extra games next season, you need to just raise your bench option. So Danny says that Gomez is a level better. I know some people like Job. I know some people don't rate Gomez, but again, it seems that people watching at the moment do prefer this one. And so why Rios would not be a good option is you can get Gomez from Wolves cheaper and a better player. So if Gomez is better, then shouldn't we? We could if we had a conversation last year when Rios was cheaper. I think it becomes like easier conversation, doesn't it? This is a really good comment as well. So just trying to get the name right. So Caleb, thanks for getting involved. It says Matheus Fernandez is good. And I think we have talked about this player a lot as well, particularly if West Ham get relegated. And I think this is a good option. He is definitely somebody that isn't on this list, but should be. And he is the player that definitely has been noticed a lot more over the last few months. People are looking at West Ham and thinking, apart from Fernandez, you have got no, you had Paquetá. I thought was decent as well, but he was sold for quite big money in the January. So you're not going to get. I don't think you get cheap deals from West Ham. They're still going to be quite expensive. Bowen will never leave. So then you can look at Juve as like a left back. I have no idea how much he would cost. I know a regular guest really rates him. I know Danny B in the comments really rates him. How much would Juve cost if West Ham went down? I don't know. I'd be interested to find out. Anderson will be okay if we can't get too many or Tonali. I mean, I think Manchester United are prioritising Anderson, but I think they're also realistic that they might struggle to get him. And I would say too many has got to be difficult. I don't. I'm not saying it's my favourite option, but I genuinely think of the top three, I think Tonali might be the most achievable. But it might be that the price is going to be pretty similar for all of them. But I'm not going to make bets, but I would say because it's Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid are going to keep too many. If they want to keep too many, I think he stays there. If he comes to Manchester United, it's going to cost a lot of money. I'm not saying Tonali is my favourite option. I'm just saying if I had to guess, I think Tonali might be the option to go for because he has got a bit more experience, particularly in European football, than someone like Anderson. And I think Anderson, it might be difficult to get him if City have kind of got things lined up. That's what I'm guessing. Just a guess, but I do think Alex Scott and Fernandez should certainly be in the mix. It's yeah. Howard also say Fernandez, I think, is better than Gomez. For him, it looks like he looks like the real deal. Interestingly, that there seems to be a trend recently. Just looking at people watching, and thanks, just say to people like Howard, thank you for getting involved in the live chat today because it is interesting to see and what fan opinions and where it's going. And over the last 12 months, I would say 12 to maybe 18 months, we've seen Elliot Anderson probably week on week, month by month, has become a lot of people's favourite target and has come to the fore in terms of like which player do people want, like which people the fans want. And over the same 12-month period, Belieber has gradually become, I think, less popular. Like I think that's the best way of putting it. But when you look at the recent games, like there's no doubt that Belieber has got something, and I do think that this one is going to be one that, in terms of this, there's a combination here, isn't there? There's some deals that we really want as fans, but there are some deals where you feel that they're more realistic that Manchester United could achieve them. So I think Tonali is something United, if they want Tonali, I think they can get Tonali. If they want Belieber, I think they can get Belieber. I would say the same for Alex Scott, the same for Fernandez. They're targets that I think United, if they go for them quite proactively, I think we can get these deals done. I think Angela Stiller is definitely another one as long as there's not severe, like serious interest from Real Madrid. So I think there's four options we could definitely get. I would say Gomez as well. And if Man United decided they wanted to get Richard Rios, there's absolutely no problem, like no problem in getting that. They would be able to get that deal done as well. But when you're looking at this, I get the feeling that United, as a priority, want the Premier League experience, and it might be that maybe it's only recently that maybe Fernandez has been kind of rated as much by a lot of people. So let's have a look at some of this one just to quickly check. So yeah, Fernandez very high on your list as well. Yeah, if people were going to put down what is their top targets in kind of order, then actually, as Ian has done, he's got Wharton and Stiller, then Scott, Gomez, so Belieber, Gume. Yeah, there's quite a lot there. There's quite a lot there, and that's kind of in the order which you're thinking. And I'm thinking if you're looking at that Wharton, I think United do actually look at Stiller as being similar to Wharton, but a little bit cheaper. And I think Scott is maybe, I don't know, in terms of Gomez, he's going to cost a little bit more than Gomez, isn't he? So it depends on what Manchester United think is the best option. And Belieber, I think, is that maybe it's one where Belieber, Gume, it might be that Belieber Premier League experience kind of edges it a little bit. It's tricky, isn't it? I'll say Tonali links. So um, there is occasionally story with this one. I think the most recent one was that with Tonali, it's very much about Newcastle having to sell players as well. So Newcastle, they do need to sell players, and I think with Tonali, if you the most recent thing I saw regarding Tonali was it looks like Eddie Howe went on a bit of a rant recently, and he wants Tonali and he wants Gordon to essentially decide: are you committed to Newcastle? If you want to leave, then let us know because they're going to sell one of those players, I believe, and it might be that Newcastle needs to sell one of those players to kind of start moving into the transfer window. That's what I'm thinking. So I get the feeling that with this Newcastle thing that at the moment that maybe Tonali stays. I don't think Newcastle want to sell more than one player, and it looks like Gordon wants to force his way out of the club. So yeah, it looks like there's something happening regarding that. It looks like Newcastle are going to be selling Gordon, and then maybe they don't want to sell Tonali unless they get. I think Newcastle are happy to get a very big offer, but yeah. Big up to you, Ryan. Appreciate that. I was saying, Charlie's saying for some reason I think Blaber will be one of our expensive defensive midfielders. I get the feeling that for some reason I get the feeling that Manchester United have always like maintained this interest in Belieber. And although, like from a fan perspective, the performances haven't been great with Brighton, I think a lot of the noise around the club has always been positive. Like the only thing you ever see occasionally is that a story will come out to say Belieber is still on the list. He's still on that list, but Anderson was like apparently top priority. The thing is that if Anderson goes to Manchester City, Belieber is still on that list, and I remember looking for this recently. I couldn't really find a significant story that linked some of these players to other clubs. I don't think I've seen stories linking Belieber elsewhere. I believe that it was reported at the end of the summer, wasn't it, that he agreed terms with Manchester United. So it looks like Belieber he wants to join Manchester United. It seems he's on apparently about 12.5K a week at United. So if United put him on a contract that probably wouldn't have to be as big as the Kobe Mainoo contract, then surely that deal gets done. And at the moment, Belieber might be quite a good fit to play alongside Kobe Mainoo. It could be that it's actually quite a good match. There are good options around as well. How much would Fernandez cost is probably a good question. If people have been following that one, then how much would he cost as well? No, cheers, Howard. You're welcome, and welcome to the channel as well, Howard. So I would say your top three is Anderson, Fernandez, Tonali. Then if Manchester United do that, which they're all good players, Manchester United do that, that is going to be a very expensive midfield rebuild. Which don't rule it out though, because Manchester United did spend pretty much all the money last season. If you remember, all the money went pretty much on attack, and then we did actually go for a cheaper option in goalkeeping, but it wasn't a bad option. A cheaper option was actually pretty good. So it was actually, I think that you can spend a little bit less and still get some good players. And it would be quite interesting. Yeah. Can you imagine if we had a conversation I know, over the summer, and Manchester United have actually bought a player that cost 20 million and he ends up being quite a good midfield signing. But the way we scouted and way we got the goalkeeper situation sorted last year, it would be quite refreshing if we could actually do that with maybe like a midfield signing. But I think at the moment, given that all the noise and everybody knows Manchester United want midfielders, I don't think we're going to get any sort of bargains or any cheap deals. But Anderson, Fernandez, Tonali is a very good list, but it is pretty expensive, isn't it? If I had to choose one player from Newcastle, I don't know. I don't know. How much is Lewis costing? It's difficult to say. At the moment, I'm finding it difficult to. I'm finding it difficult to think of like players beyond midfield to start with. I'd be thinking, let's get in midfield players to start with. Gaz United BXU says signing Belieber and overpaying would be a double blow. Then and we got Niche Fan straight after saying let's get too many Unbeliever left and right footed Terminators. The question for this, and okay, I think this is kind of subjective, isn't it, in terms of overpaying? Then so Fernandez between 60 to 80 million if they go down 34, right? If Fernandez costs 34 million, then yeah, that becomes very interesting indeed. 60 to 80, I'm not sure it's going to be feasible, but no, if he costs 34, I think it's going to be yeah, really good deal actually. So looking at that price, then that suddenly puts him above Alex Scott and Gomez, I think, in terms of like where I'm thinking. If it's 80 million, then I don't think it's going to be something that happens. My quick question was going to be to people watching though, if you're talking about Belieber, and he's kind of mixed in terms of like some people think we should definitely sign him, like niche fans. Some people not so sure. What will be a price at which you go right? We get that. This is a good deal because if it's going to be over 100, I think most people will be saying that that's too much. But just a quick question though, just put a number in the chat and I'll be able to see what you think, how much you think Belieber should cost. If you're going to sell Bruno, your perfect midfield would be Tchouaméni, Belieber, Cunha. I mean, that's certainly a very different midfield. I've seen a few links with players like Yildiz. I think he might be someone that United do like the look of, but I think he's too expensive. I think he's very good, but that would be the sort of player I'd be looking at as well. If Bruno Fernandes goes, I think United need to be looking at that. Maybe they could look at trying Cunha there. I mean, what will be quite interesting is that if United can win against Brentford, it's a difficult game. But if we see Brighton drop points or if Champions League football gets locked up, can Manchester United just try a couple of games with Cunha in that position just to see how it works, possibly? And as Harry says, we're Manchester United. These are the players we should be getting. It should be. I'm going to say this: if Manchester United are serious about rebuilding and they're serious about being the best team in the Premier League, we probably need to spend the sort of money that Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, and I think, and probably Manchester City, but certainly the amount of money in terms of midfielders like Wirtz, Declan Rice, Caicedo, that these teams that have been more competitive than us for a while have spent this sort of money on midfield. The only difference is we're going to try and do it in one transfer window. So I think that you're right, and United should be spending that. If you get the if you get the midfield sorted this summer, then if you might spend a few hundred million on the team this summer, but it means you don't have to do it next summer. Like next summer, it could be a cheaper transfer window. So I think if you pay now, then you're not going to worry too much about it. A bit to you, Jay, as well. It just seems that if Manchester United try and do things on the cheap, we could then be struggling to be back. We could struggle to stay in the Champions League next season as well as playing Champions League football. So that would be a worst case scenario as well. I would say so I saw that 45 million for Belieber. So no, it's fine. It's fine. Based on current form, yeah, Brighton will not. Well, not Brighton probably won't sell you a cone for 30 million. Like Brighton put stupid prices on their players, so yeah, you might get like a like a photograph of him for 30 million from Brighton. But if you want the player, Brighton are going to want a fortune, aren't they? Unfortunately, um, believe it or not, than 40 million. We should send you guys to negotiate, but I think we'd be coming home empty-handed. I don't think it's going to happen. How much? I think with this that you have to start the bidding. You have to start the bidding at least kind of 60, don't you? In terms of this, like if you think Belieber's a good option, then you have to be realistic and say in a midfield market, it's going to cost. We're talking about a player that did do very well against probably 200 million pounds worth of midfield players who's playing against yesterday. Okay, one game for sure, but he's very young. Hopefully, we'd have some good coaching. Hopefully, I think he's still got a lot of potential. I think 40 million is like too much. Unless we can, sorry, too cheap. Unless we can structure some deals in which, if we can, like, I know Brighton are pretty greedy. Could we actually look at a situation where there's significant add-ons? So if you think about a deal for Belieber and people think like 65 is not ridiculous as Bilal, I think given like transfer fees what they are, then what if Manchester United look at the deal structured with a bit more percentage of add-ons? It's no I'm not saying that we should throw money at that. I'm just saying that yeah, I'm just saying that people have different views on this one as well. I mean, I do know a Brighton fan, um, and I probably need to get in contact with Chloe and try and see if there's a time where she's actually free. And maybe if I could get a Brighton fan on, it might be like a really good sort of Belieber QA. So if there's significant Belieber news in the transfer window coming up, because we're kind of transfer orientated now, games will be few and far between. It might be also we are playing Brighton, aren't we? So actually, we're playing Brighton. I'll try and organise to get Chloe on, and she can talk about obviously Brighton, but we can also ask a load of questions. So it could be a transfer stream. So we'll do it as a match preview. Hopefully, I can sort that out and get Chloe on before we play Brighton, and that might be the perfect stream to actually speak to a Brighton fan. And she's regularly posting things on Instagram, so she's at every single game pretty much. She goes to every home game, goes to a lot of away games. So if you want to know what Beliebers doing behind the scenes. If you want to know any information about Brighton, that will be the time to do that. But no, it's one where I just thought if United could structure the deal in a way that's going to be sensible, that if it doesn't work out, then we don't end up paying a really high price. And so Stephanie says, buy cheap, buy twice, but buy expensive. Yeah, if you buy expensive, you need to be sure. I'm trying to think, have we bought anyone very expensive recently that's not worked out? Like Sesko doesn't seem too bad. Cunha and Buemo, I think, are decent for the money. They're certainly compared with other players that go for similar price. Lamens is a bargain. Probably Agate might have been a bit of overpay, a little bit of overpay regarding that one, but otherwise, No, I think with this one, I think if you're looking at dealing with any sort of midfield player, then it's genuinely going to be difficult, isn't it? It's going to be quite difficult. So yeah, 30 million. That I think with 30 million, you got Delap for 30 million, and Belieber's playing every single game. So I don't think I don't think that will get the deal done. But for some reason, I think Manchester United are seriously interested. That's what's interesting. If you just tuned in and just joined the channel, we're having a discussion about probably every single midfielder you've ever heard of because this is Manchester United's extended shortlist. But if you could subscribe as well, that's appreciated. Just a couple of subscribers away from 570, so hopefully we can hit that during the stream. That would be really good. So on the too many story, so I think it's player and club signaling to a section of the fans that is going nowhere and they need to stop the nonsense, which is becoming more widespread. And it does seem to be. I think with too many, I think it's going to be. I would be very surprised if we don't hear a story in the next week where too many extends his contract with Real Madrid and gets. I don't know if he gets a pay rise. I think we're going to see a situation where he just stays there anyway. I think it was an interesting one, but yeah. Gaz says we need to get better at negotiating. Did Manchester United actually do okay last season? We can negotiating then. You got Lamans in for 18. You got to play over 60 to get Belieber and Cunha there, experienced Premier League players, very good players as well. Then Belieber was going to be the sort of money they wanted. It's a lot, isn't it? How much would you pay for him, Cody? So Belieber's 22. McAllister was 24 when he signed. Plus he had a release clause. It's the main use like yeah. I think too many is like not going to happen. That's what I'm thinking. So I would say that too many is going to be a Real Madrid player next season. I mean, if he's not, then we can do the backtrack stream. But I think he's going to be, isn't he? I don't think we're going to be seeing anything crazy from that. Garnacho. So you'd pay 60-ish, no more. Okay, 60 probably puts him in the range of like Alex Scott in terms of how much Bournemouth value Alex Scott. They look at 65 for him, but I think people think he's going to cost a little bit less. But maybe United though, maybe this is one where United can actually make an offer, and I get the feeling there'll be add-ons included in that one, and maybe Brighton are actually. I would imagine that Brighton already have their replacements lined up. I'm pretty sure Brighton would have a couple of players to sign the day that Belieber gets announced going to Manchester United if that happened. So I don't think Brighton that want to keep Belieber. They want to sell. They're a selling club. So yeah, niche fan, you must be one of the more optimistic Belieber fans at the moment, saying look at some of the passes Belieber has in his locker. So I hope he doesn't have the attitude of Balotelli, but I appreciate what you're saying with that one. So Balotelli lays a shot on him as well. Welcome, Cake. Having a good day then, Cake. Having a good day. I thought you were going to making like some sort of elaborate food reference towards transfer signings, but no. I hope you're having a good day. So we are known for overpaying and it take too long on transfers. We have done some good deals. Yeah, do you think we over? If you look at it, Gittins was 60, Cunha was 62.5, Alanga was 55 plus 5, Cunha was no, so and Mbeumo was 65 plus 7, was it something like that? I think a lot of it has been pretty similar. I think the kind of market value, how much was like Zabi Simmons, and then you look at maybe Vert's going for way over 100, and you look at Wissa going for 57 or something like that. You look at the Walter Maida, how much he went for. I think United actually did okay. Cheers, Unks. Welcome back, Unks. Appreciate you finding the channel. Honestly, it was a bit beyond my control. I didn't want to change it, but I had to restart on this one, Unks. So thank you for that. If you know any mutuals that you recognise from a year ago on other channels that don't know that we have changed the name of the channel, please let them know, Unks. That would be appreciated. But welcome back to the chat. So we have got a poll running. If you want to vote on the Richard Rios conversation, I did say that there's going to be a lot of midfielders to talk about. And I think actually, when I talked about too many, when it was a breaking story about Manchester United interested, and we thought the price was going to be about 70, nearly 80% of people were positive about too many as a signing. And I think that most of the players, actually, Alex Scott was like pretty. I think if I said Alex Scott was 50, 55 million, that was very high as well. And I'm just at the moment, so I don't know what the poll vote is. I suspect this might be lower. I don't want to influence it. All I wanted to say was to start with, I just wanted to say Richard Rios has this price. Would you sign him? Is there a better option? My personal view is I think Manchester United might have might have other targets lined up as well. The fact that he might be looking to move and Benfica may be willing to accept a £39 million offer, then I think there's a possibility that that price goes up a little bit. And I think that if Fulham and Napoli are already interested, Fulham aren't really too slow in the transfer windows usually. I think Fulham might get this deal done. I mean, unless he doesn't want to play in the Premier League, unless he favours Serie A, I'd imagine Fulham will be able to spend more than Napoli. That's just a guess in terms of like the Premier League money is pretty big, but Napoli have done well recently. It might be they can offer him something, but that's one I thought. I say when I mentioned getting better at negotiating, more relating to the time frame. Yeah, it was about 6 or 7 weeks, and if you see just above your comment, Mr. B for Life is a Brentford streamer. So check out Mr. B for Life for Brentford transfer stuff as well. There was a lot of overlap last season. Um, I was looking at it from a Manchester United point of like perspective, but Brentford they had a price they wanted. Manchester United we had a different financial situation then. We did have like this problem with trying to. We had like some financial issues with very big debt about 3 years ago. Or 4 years ago. It's off the books now. We lost a lot of money we wasted time trying to structure the deal, didn't we? We could have got the deal done a bit quicker, I'm sure, and it was a bit frustrating at the time. That's too long. I'm hoping like there's no excuses this time. Manchester United made a profit in the first quarter of this season. The financial situation is better. The financial rules are changing around football. There is no excuse for Manchester United to not get deals done a bit more effectively. And if a player wants to join United, like Embuemo wanted to join Manchester United, we had a rough idea how much it was going to cost. We should have got that deal done a lot quicker. Like there's no excuses for doing that this season. And the January transfer window, yeah, should like there are some complexities, but I think Cunha and Buemo were relatively straightforward. But again, sometimes it takes time, doesn't it? So, Wizardbet says if United want to make me happy, they'll make two signings in principle before the end of the season. So, I'll tell you what though, when you say that, I could probably throw two names out there and you go, oh, not those guys. But is there someone you look at and think that you want to see? Because it seemed to be that towards the end of last season, when we were linked with Cunha and Mbuemo, and I watched Brentford a bit as well because I liked the way they were playing last season. And Cunha and Buemo for me were like those were two signings that because they were quite early, there was loads of optimism, wasn't there? There was a lot of optimism. So, what two names would you be thinking United can get locked up that quick? Because that's what you'd be thinking at. It's like, can you? Is there one or two names that you can get? Because I agree with you, Woods are better. Like to kickstart the window, get a deal done quickly. The most likely to be done fast on this list might be. I think Alex Scott could be done possibly quickly. I think I don't know. Belieber might be done quickly, but you might have to pay a lot of money. Angela Stiller for me seems the most likely one, but I don't know what would be the best one. Is it time for a panic poll? Look, we're not going to do a panic poll in April. We don't even know where our head coach is, but we will. I'll consider it as the transfer window progresses. I can't remember when we started panicking last year, but it was it was later on in the window, wasn't it? So we won't be panicking just yet. But I might do the panic poll at some point if it looks bad. I'll tell you what, if a big target goes to a different club, we will bring out the panic poll. That's what we'll do. So I'm going to give people a little bit longer to vote if you want to vote. I can see it's very close. This is a genuinely difficult one, isn't it? Genuinely difficult one. But we will do, for people that don't know, last year we did do a panic poll about the question was going to be, is it time to panic regarding Manchester United? The season hasn't finished yet, but we will bring out the panic poll at some point because it's interesting to see fans' reaction. Maybe we'll wait until a big deal happens. If we saw something next week that said, say Nottingham Forest win the next game, and they're pretty much safe from relegation, and then Anderson announces that he's going to Manchester City, we'll roll out the panic poll. Then we'll start going down that route if you want. That'll be something we can open up. So let's have a look at some of these ones. Um, but at the moment, we're not going to be. Yeah, at the moment, yeah, we'll look at it. Okay, we'll consider things. Okay, I'm not overly stressed at the moment because there's a lot of targets out there. I think at the moment, so you voted yes because you hit the wrong button, panicked. My panic poll. If you're panicked by voting on whether Manchester United should sign Richard Rios, the transfer window is going to be a roller coaster of stress for you, I'm afraid, Stephanie. So, should United sign Rios for £39 million? Yes, say for only 45% of people today say yes. No is winning with 55%. So interesting. That's the first poll we've done on a transfer target where people are voting no to signing. So overwhelmingly, let's just say goodbye to Richard Rios from our perspective. So we're thinking that this is not a good deal. 12 months ago, £26 million. I think it's a different story. When you fast forward 12 months and you look at Anderson, Tchouaméni, um, Angela Stiller, Wharton, uh, looking at Tonali as well, all these different players, Believer. I think Richard Rios has just dropped off the radar, hasn't he? There's other options. We haven't even got a few more, have we? We haven't got a few more. So I'm saying time to stir the pot a bit. So a month or two before the winter window, Jim came out and said he believed this team was good enough to get Champions League. And that is true. That is true. My prediction was I thought this team was good enough to get. I thought this team was good enough to get Europa League football. That was what I thought, and I think we might have benefited slightly because Chelsea. I didn't see Chelsea sacking Maresca and getting in a manager that loses 5 games in a row. So the fact that Chelsea have got 0 points out of 15 is always a massive plus. I did actually expect Liverpool to do a bit better over the rest of the season. So now, overall, I think like we've probably overperformed, and some of our rivals have probably underperformed. So no, I don't think there's one account I know on YouTube. They haven't found this channel yet, but they did used to watch the old channel, and that's called End of Madness. That account we need to find because that account predicted top four, and we need to get them in here and say well done, like top four, spot on. They said top four, and we're going to get top four. It seems. And I don't think anybody realistically thought that we would. Like nobody thought that we would get top four. But now that we have, I think we have a strong position. We have a strong negotiating position. We can go into these player negotiations knowing that we offer Champions League football, and that's something that we didn't have before. So, so going through some of the comments. So, if you've got any thoughts on any sort of midfielder, we are. This is quite open-ended discussion now. So, if you want to put anything in like open-ended conversation, then let us know regarding this. There's probably going to be. I'm guessing that some of these stories will probably be repeated over the next few days, but at the moment, I don't think there's going to be anything in agreement with the Premier League season, I'd be surprised if we see much in terms of until the relegation fight is over. I don't think we're going to be seeing any stories coming out about Anderson. It's going to be the same. But given like Nottingham Forest are picking up points, I'd imagine like maybe in a week's time, if Forest win and we see points dropped by West Ham or Spurs, they might be safe. And in which case we might be seeing, we might see news coming out. I think some people are actually thinking that, some people think that it's a done deal to Man City, and maybe it is the case, and maybe that's why we're seeing more stories coming out, and maybe Manchester United are actually aware that some of these targets on this screen might well be going somewhere else as well. Some of your comments not going through, I think that's like a YouTube issue sometimes. But sometimes if it, some just keep posting them. It could be a YouTube issue that no one's blocked on this channel at all. There's no restrictions, there's no time limit, there's no filters or anything, so it should be fine. Are Chelsea losing games to get out of European football and to ensure they don't have to meet the tougher 70% squad cost ratio? Um, I don't, I don't know if that, well, I think with that one that Chelsea are fairly profitable. I think Chelsea would have ways around it, wouldn't they? That there's a lot to go before the season starts. Chelsea have got. I don't think Chelsea pay incredibly high salaries, so I think Chelsea could move things around. It is tricky, isn't it? I think the 70% cost ratio for the Champions League. I read somewhere that Newcastle might actually benefit. Actually, it might have been um, another channel that suggested that Newcastle might benefit from not having European football because they could actually spend a bit more. So again, it could. It's not going to benefit Chelsea, but potentially, then yeah, you have to have a certain ratio to meet this one as well. 4 away. Yeah, Unks 13. I don't know if you use Discord or if you use Facebook. If you use either of those, then there's a pinned comment, should be at the top of the stream. The Discord group, we always share information regarding streams. Also, it's a way of like just keeping in contact if you want to. Discord's free, it's pretty secure as well, where it's incredibly secure. And the Facebook group as well, you're welcome to join that. You don't have to follow anyone on Facebook, but it's just a group where information is shared by Coyote as well. So those are social groups just behind the scenes that if you want to get involved in, it just keeps you up to date. So we generally stream at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and an evening stream, but things can change, and we can't always guarantee that I'm actually around those sort of times. But you will hope if you want to get involved there. Goalless in five. Wow. Wow. I mean, I don't know how we kept them goalless, but certainly last night they got bullied, didn't they? They got bullied. Now, I think Chelsea aren't a problem, are they? I'm actually looking forward to Brighton match because it's near the end of the season. I might message Chloe quite soon and say, look, do you fancy doing a match preview for Brighton? And we can get a Brighton fan on and we can talk about Belieber in detail then, because at the moment, lots of us read the news, we look at the media, but I think a Brighton fan that watches every single minute of the team will have a good idea of what's going on, what the things are, what the stories are behind the scenes as well. Okay, there's like a Facebook group as well. There's a TikTok group, sorry, well, TikTok account. No obligation to follow anyone, but it's just there if you want to reach out and just keep in touch with people. It's 100%. So, so Blah wants maybe we should DM Goldbridge to DM Neville. I don't think I don't. Oh, I do know somebody that did know Mark Goldbridge that actually used to join in some of the call-in shows years and years ago, but I do not think that I don't think we can message somebody to message someone to message somebody, etc., etc. So I don't think with all honesty, I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Um, I don't know how Rosenior started off, but I think you could argue that Rosenior is one of the worst managers the Premier League's seen as well. So yeah, Discord is really good. Like people use Discord. The Discord server is quite organized. There's transfer news, there's fantasy football, there's other links, there's a live stream stuff where I post when we're going to stream, etc. So, yeah, I don't know if you're on it, Gaz, but feel free to join. Hopefully, the link always works, and it's really useful. Like, it's really good. I posted a little video clip of Conceição, the South American wonder kid we were linked to. That's in the Discord. There's a lot of things on the Discord that people share. Jim's very proactive on the Discord, but we're growing it now. It's only been taking off recently. I think there's like 65 people on there at the moment, and hopefully it becomes more and more active. I'm guessing it's going to get a lot busier. So Dabasis, uh, just go for it. Go for it, Dabasis. Get involved. Don't be worried. Don't be worried. Um, so I can't wait for your end of season player review grades. Are people interested in that? We could do like a. There is something planned that I'm thinking of that we might. It's gonna be quite big. It's gonna be a long stream, isn't it? But if we do a season review, then there's so much to discuss. So much to discuss that yeah, it's going to be it's going to be an epic stream, isn't it? But maybe we'll sort something out, and we'll sort something out on maybe towards the end of the season with myself and some regular guests, and we'll do like a big stream where we discuss this as well. So the manager turnaround in the last 18 months has been it's been crazy in the Premier League, honestly crazy. If you look at the teams in the Premier League, then teams that have sacked their managers, then I think most of them, Manchester United might be one of the few ones that we replaced our head coach and we've improved slightly. But apart from that, Chelsea got worse. I think I'd say that Wolves were just bad anyway. Nottingham Forest, maybe Nottingham Forest improved, but you'd probably say that I don't know, Spurs, it made the problems worse. So Spurs and Chelsea didn't really work out, whereas there were two managers under pressure quite a lot at stages of this season, and one of them, Unai Emery, was under loads of pressure at the start of the season, and they stuck with him, and things came well. So I think with this one, it's possibly that Rosenior's out of his depth. That's possibly the thing. So regarding season review, what manager, first team players, owners, academy, transfer policies, stadium ticket prices, protests, and then ending up in Champions League football. It's been a bit of a roller coaster of a season. We had about three international breaks where the only conversation was, "Are we going to replace the manager?" And now we're having a conversation about who's going to be head coach. So this has been a very strange year for Manchester United. We're somehow ending it with a bit more positivity that we're seem to be going to be having Champions League football. So, and that's why we're having this one as well. And if people got some comments and questions, I can be live for a little bit longer. I just need to check, but I can be live for a bit longer, probably about 10 minutes. If people got some questions on anything we've discussed, otherwise I'll probably have to jump off. So I'm expecting so in a second. So any midfield questions at all? It's interesting that we covered. I don't think we're going to cover Richard Rios in any other stream. It seems that everybody's spoken and people don't want him. The question, I suppose, is also when you're looking at some of the players linked, is there any player you look at, say on the list, that you think definitely not? Is Belieber there? Is it a price thing with Belieber? Do people think Belieber's going to cost too much, or do people think he's fundamentally not good enough? That So I think people's views can change quite quickly in either direction. But a lot of people last season, there was people talking about spending £100 million for him, and lots of people were quite happy at that point. I think with Vivell in charge, I think I think they're looking at this and thinking, yeah. So you would go for those players. Are you saying you'd go for those players, or you're not so keen on those players? I think on a minute. Based on those, looking at those, Bawadi and Sangari, yeah, these are very good players. So you'd go for those. Um, I do agree they're good players. I don't think United are going to be. I think United are going to be very cautious. So if we're going to sign a player early on, I think that I'm starting to think that United will buy Belieber. So considering the season Belieber's had, my sense is he's the most risky, and say give it four more injury. Yeah, this is something that I would really love to speak to Chloe about as well, and just say from a Brighton fan point of view, do you know that is he carrying an injury? Is there a reason why he's playing like 60 minutes and gets substituted? It does seem the sort of thing that it would be pretty strange to see a player being substituted with quite regularity at that sort of frequency. It does suggest you're managing minutes more than a lack of form. Like, I'm not saying he's playing great, but if it becomes being substituted early in matches every game, it does suggest that there's some sort of minutes management going on. So I think there's something suspicious with Belieber, something that we don't know as fans. There's something behind the scenes that I don't think it's necessarily as clear cut as people think. So I'd be interested to see this. I say, but what Buadi is young. Yeah, Buadi is only just turned. Is it 18, isn't he? And I would say Sangari is quite. He was quite good value. Maybe it's one that if people in the Discord, there are clips of these players sort of floating around. If you want to share some things in there under the appropriate section, and please do that as well. That would be useful information. Amongst 13, you think it's a done deal? You think it's a done deal with Brighton? Yeah, I'm guessing that there's going to be. I think there's going to be something big coming out, like Belieber at some point. There's something in the background that makes me think that there's something in place that United are going to be looking at. But I'm not. This isn't me saying I want it to happen. Definitely, I'm just saying that I get the feeling that there's a lot of noise about other players, but Belieber hasn't gone away, and it's the one that's there from like last. This is going from last August, and it hasn't gone away. When Manchester United actually take action to try and sign a player, I don't think they change their mind over the medium term. Like we're not going to suddenly go for a player and then not be interested in them in a bit later. We're going to still have some interest. So see, you may think under 100 million. If there's any sort of injury, though, this is one where you'd have to find out because it wouldn't be the first player that Brighton have tried to put a high price tag on. And then if you look at Evan Ferguson, it is risky at that this sort of money. Then Stephanie made a really good comment early on in the stream. Said that if you're going to buy if you're going to buy the wrong player, if you're going to try and buy cheap, you're going to have to buy another player to replace him. But if you spend very, very big money, you need to make sure. I'd want Belieber to be 100% injury prone. Not injury prone. I wanted to make sure he's 100% injury free, and that there isn't some underlying issue which has caused him to be replaced quite early in games this season. That's kind of my worry. That I think there's something that we don't know that Brighton are keeping from us. That is there a reason why they're doing something on those? Yeah, it's a bit suspicious, isn't it? Certainly for the sort of price that Brighton want, I would be really, really careful with this one. It's almost like if you could if you could give them a low price up front and have maybe significant add-ons. Do you remember like the Alma Jallo deal? It was like the add-ons were almost the same as like the initial price. So if you could do something like that and so if Belieber joins and can't play many games or some injury crops up, Man United don't have to pay too much money or something like that. I would just be a bit suspicious of Brighton at the moment. I could be wrong. I'm just a bit suspicious. I'm just thinking that, did we get unlucky with Delit, or was there some underlying issues that we didn't know about that other clubs like Juve, like Bayern Munich, they covered this up? Like, is there something that maybe doesn't get picked up in a medical that we knew? That's all I'm thinking. So if anyone's got any final comments, say probably Arsenal will come in for him, bearing in mind he could go to either club. Possibly. And where's the bet? So we cannot replace Cameo Casemiro with Cameo Belieber. Could be completely wrong. That as a like flight replacement, then you need someone that you need someone that's got way more experience, isn't it? I think that's why the too many story, and actually there's a Camavinga story as well that's been discussed. I think why those sort of stories become interesting to people in sort of looking at where Manchester United are going. And it does seem to be that United are wary that they do actually need to get some experience in the squad. And I think that's where we're going with that one. So I think it's a sensible sort of thing. Unks13 says, I would not deal with Brighton. Um, I'm actually starting to think the same sort of thing that there's a lot of players that have gone from Brighton. If you think like Chelsea, the players that the amount of money they've spent on players from Brighton, absolutely crazy. The next stream tonight will be. I'm just wondering whether is there games tonight. I don't know whether if I'm doing the stream myself, I'd rather start at like a 7 or 8 p.m. and not go too late. But I might look at that sort of time, then possibly something like that. But also it depends on news, the basis. I mean, if you're in the Discord, then please like share some like information and we'll do something. But I will be considering something like 7 p.m. I think would be something sensible. That's kind of like a normal starting point. But if it's like 7:30, it's fine as well. But evening streams are sometimes a little bit longer, depending on like news and like popularity and stories that come out. I think yesterday there was lots of little stories regarding Kerry Mainey's contract. There was a sort of more clarification on the Tchouaméni deal, which I think is was an interesting point as well. And I think that there's going to be the Michael Carrick situation is kind of ongoing. What's kind of interesting is if you're looking at Michael Carrick and it's like whether he's going to be in charge or not. What every single game that's played involving a team near the top, Chelsea lose, and suddenly there's an extra few percent of people that go right, get Carrick in because Champions League football is going to be ticked off as well. No worries, Bilal. No worries. Um, maybe tune in late. I don't know what time he's streaming, but hopefully I'll be on either a little bit earlier or a bit later. So maybe you could do a little bit both, but see how that is. And I think when I was streaming on the weekend, it was kind of Arsenal fans in the chat angry about what happened. But say City Burnley tonight, Arsenal crash out incoming, City go top. Then yeah, so that makes me think. Actually, I don't know. We just bet you're quite busy, but I don't know whether I could get a guest on to discuss some things that are happening. But no, there's potentially a massive crash out from Arsenal fans tonight, and potentially Man City go top of the league. Then, considering that Burnley lost 4-1 to Nottingham Forest, I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty much a done deal, isn't it? That I would be surprised if we're not talking about a significant win for Manchester City tonight. But then this is the thing, though. United need to rebuild because whatever happens at Arsenal, that the team has been finishing above Manchester United for years. So if Manchester United can rebuild, we're kind of there, aren't we? So if Arsenal have a situation where I don't know, Saliba leaves or other players get poached by different clubs, which could happen. If Arteta goes, like it might be a bit of a rebuild for them. You never know. Then maybe we could have a situation as well. Arsenal, they should have had a red card in that match. That's true. We last won the league in 2018, did we? Because City cheated. Was that which was the league? Which was the year where? Yeah, that must have been was that Mourinho? Was that Mourinho getting second with Pogba and Zlatan? Was it that season? Yeah, that was the last season that Man City cheated their way to the league, but we were involved in a title race apparently. I think actually, I don't think we were in a title race. I think we just finished second, but we weren't that close. I'll be up to you, Jeff. Jeff, have you got some questions, Jeff, or some comments on midfield options? I was going to wrap up. I can stay live for like another 5 minutes though, so get your views in there quick if you've got some thoughts. I'm actually during this stream and actually last night I was realizing that it could be a really good opportunity to get a Brighton fan on very soon because we're playing Brighton because of the Believer noise. So I will try and sort that out and get Chloe on. She's a brilliant guest as well, so that will be really good. Morning, Jeff. Good. I know the time zone is not great for US fans, but we will be live tonight. in potentially about like 5 to 6 hours time. I think so. Alex Scott, I like Alex Scott. I think Alex Scott is one that there seems to be no drama, getting on with his job, being consistent performer. The team is functioning incredibly well. Bournemouth are a bit of a nemesis for us as well, aren't they? Bournemouth went to Arsenal, beat Arsenal. Bournemouth are going to play Man City. Honestly, looking at the title race, I know we're talking about it, but in terms of like potential potential kind of issues, then Alex Scott and Bournemouth could, yeah, could be up there. A big up to you to win. Unfortunately, beyond my control, had to restart. Unfortunately, that's um, I couldn't use the other one. Not my not my decision. Not my decision. It's gone, unfortunately. But the good thing is, what I did was I intentionally, like really intentionally, I kept the same style thumbnails, the same graphics, the same. I mean, I'm still here. I'm the same, and it's everything's the same. And I thought it might make it easier to find people. But the thing is, if you watch the last channel and then for whatever reason you consume a lot of Manchester United content, eventually, eventually people will find me. So one thing I have got that is a bit different to last time is there is a social a United TV socials link pinned. If you use Discord or you use Facebook or you use TikTok, then all the social links are there. I mean, I'm on Twitter. I don't really use Twitter too much apart from messaging to say that we're going live and occasionally doing a bit of research, occasionally chatting with a few like good guys on there as well, but I don't use it loads, but it's just kind of a link. I'm really trying to build the Discord because the Discord is like going to be hopefully the heart of the community where people share information, do a bit of, people share research as well. It's going to be great. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. One thing I've been doing is that I'm very, very deliberately focusing 100% on Manchester United so that the algorithm knows what we're talking about. It knows that this is the Manchester United channel. And gradually, what's really beautiful is that one maybe twice a day, and Unks popped in earlier. Unks might still be in the chat, and you popped in as well. There was literally so many hundreds of different accounts. I just couldn't. I just had no way of like messaging people. So it's really great that people pop in the chat, and this is why the live streams at the moment are probably too long, but it's all about kind of visibility and it's all about people finding the stream. So hopefully, if you're on any social media, then please get in contact. Please like do that as well. But also, if you've got any a way like any way of sharing the stream during a live stream, that's going to be the best possible way as well. And that's what's happening. It's really good to just like because you share it with like mutual friends, you share it with people that have a similar mindset to you, similar interests. That will it's going to grow quick. That's the thing, isn't it? And so we were about 400. Um, we were about 400 subscribers maybe about 10 days ago. And I think it was 10 days ago when we restarted. And now we've got, I think, I'm not sure how much we've got now, but hopefully we're going to get, hopefully we'll get 600 in a couple of days. And it will be back. And this also, I've had a little think over a couple of weeks, and it's going to be bigger. We're not thinking about hitting 1K. We're thinking about let's get back to where we were and beyond there. And again, the chat is full of like top guys that are people I've known for years. This channel is it's definitely going to be it's not going to be a 500 subscriber channel for very long at all. It's going to be hopefully shooting back up, and we'll get some of the original people back on as well. Yeah, nice one, Jeff. Really appreciated. Yeah, no, honestly, it was like probably like one of the worst moments, and like in terms of social media stuff to lose that. But this is going to be no, I'm 100% focused, and people that want to get involved behind the scenes, more than welcome, more than welcome. At the moment, we're kind of keeping things pretty tight, pretty close in house. The people that I know very well, the people that reached out, then I'm kind of in contact with them, and we're going to keep things going. But eventually, like Jules last night did a great job guest hosting. Eventually, we're going to expand a little bit, but We're going to do it little by little and gradually rebuild. So just make sure to like share stuff. Like I'm not even able to redirect at the moment. Say 100K. Yeah. So honestly, at the moment, let's hit 1K first, and then because the way I think the channel's got potential because it was 10K before. I think we just keep going and keep building, and I think that for this to be successful, for me to be able to do this long term, then I do need to then yeah, without sounding too let's say without sounding too mercenary, that I will have to do this try and run this as like a part-time job. So I will be looking to try and monetize it and try and run it professionally I'm hoping to make this a big independent community Man United fan channel. That's the idea. So in terms of like looking at some of the bigger channels on YouTube, I think that's what the aim has got to be. The aim has got to be one of the biggest, most inclusive channels on YouTube. If I can do that, then that's the dream. That's the aim. So, and we're going to get there. And people that want to get involved, this is going to be a time where there may well be an opportunity. Every Sunday, to start with, every Sunday we'll do a call-in show for people to come on, people to get involved, people to have discussions. That's going to be the first step, and that's going to be a gateway to people that if you want to get involved, if you want to come on, that's going to be the first point of call. Call-in shows, get involved in the community. Come on, have your say. I think Sebastian, you might be last week, but we're not available. What we'll do is we'll start off with like this Sunday, maybe 7 p.m., something like that. We're going to be doing like a call-in show. The idea is going to be me plus one or two regular guests. People will come in out of the chat one by one, have you say for about 10, 15 minutes, and we'll do it in a structured, great way. But you will be able to come on stream, have your say, and then you can also go and rewatch it and see again. It's a bit of fun, isn't it, for people that want to talk about United? That it's good. Well, I quite enjoy talking for a long amount of time, which you have to do when you're slowly streaming. But you can come on a Sunday and you can have your say. If you watch me for like Monday to Friday or Saturday and think, what is Rich talking about? He needs to talk about this guy. You can come on and talk about them as well. So you're more than welcome to do that. That's going to be the way the community grows. The Discord, honestly, I can't push it enough and say that I think the Discord is going to be key. I think Cody's doing amazing stuff on the Discord. Jim's doing lots of stuff on the Discord as well. Cody's doing stuff in the Facebook group. So yeah, we're covering all bases. I occasionally say something on TikTok, but it's not my favorite platform. But it will be I will be posting on that semi regularly as well. But no, if you want to get involved, you're everybody's welcome. That's what I'm saying. But no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and it's kind of like a team effort, isn't it? That it's one thing having one person talking, but it's also another thing having like very, very top quality guests. And I know it's quite difficult to come on and talk in front of people. I know it's actually quite difficult to be on podcasts as well, like when you haven't done it. And I know that it's quite nervous for me when I'm like about to click go live, and I just think, what are we talking about? But again, it's a community thing, and I think what we've achieved in like 1 week is pretty impressive as a group. Like not just me, as a group, lots of people have been helping do things as well. And what we're going to achieve over the hopefully the next few weeks will be really, really good. That's what I'm expecting. So one thing that you could do, I can be live like to say, I think I can be live for till at least like maybe 5 minutes more. I just checked. I'm waiting for a food delivery, but they're like a few stops away, so I can take some questions for like 5 minutes just to go for some of these. So also, I'm going to be quite focused as well regarding trying to be what's the word, professional, but also run the streams in a measured, calm environment where we won't be having guests. I know people love AFTV, but I don't want to disappoint you, but you probably won't be seeing that here unless Manchester United completely bottle the Champions League, in which case you may get a little bit of that. But yeah, yeah, no, yeah, Bilal, I'll say if you've got some ideas, like my DMs are open as well for like suggestions as well. Say Webby O'Neill, yeah, Webby was a good guest actually. Webby was a good guy. I remember we speaking to him. I was thinking with this that maybe in the first kind of couple of weeks we really get things going, and when the transfer window opens up, I was thinking what we might do is possibly run with the regular sort of guests, myself, with a better Helgi Jules where available, and then gradually reintroduce guests that we had before. So I was going to say start with like Chloe, the Brighton fan, get other people on involved. I know a few Liverpool fans that are the content creators that definitely collaborate for the Liverpool game. So it's going to be that sort of thing as well. So yeah, this Discord is perfect if you want to use that. Um, and then Twitter as well. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. If anyone's got anything they want to talk about for like a few minutes, then again, there's only so much we can do initially, but we will gradually try and scale up a little bit. That's why, having like Jules as a guest presenter is like brilliant. But again, it's quite difficult getting somebody that's good and quite reliable. But so looking, if anyone's got some questions as well, I think once we get the channel back a little bit, it was Webby that came on. Actually, Webby came on as a guest. Alice Talks Football came on. I think in the past we had like Mo, had Hassam. There's been a lot of people come on. Igal came on. So lots of people that have been on in the past, but yeah, lots of people that came on. Yeah, I'm not. I think with this Bilal, Coyote. I think it's just like a minor one as well that we're not so interested in. But yeah, X Discord. That I mean, I'm not going to be able to like respond necessarily immediately, but I will regularly check things, particularly like half an hour before stream. I will be all over socials just checking what's going on because I think we like to be quite breaking news if we can. It's kind of difficult, but that's what we like to try and do. So if we go back on track, then like Jeff, you just tuned in. What's your thoughts of the shortlist that we got? Do you look at it and think? So with all of this, where is it? Where is this? With all of this job talk, it'll be good to have a third debate before United finalise. Yeah. Then I'm hoping that we're looking at this situation and thinking that there is definitely scope. You'll have to like let me know when you're free. There's definitely scope to maybe get a few people, like a few very good guests, good speakers that can come on with different points of view. Maybe myself with a better Helgi, Jules, like get some regular guests that are going to be the general sort of group when we do group stream podcasts, and then maybe look through the candidates that at the moment it would have to be a conversation, wouldn't it? Possibly, if Manchester United actually get Champions League football wrapped up, it might be that this conversation ends very quickly. It might be that you never know. It depends. If Nagelsmann is off the table, if Newcastle operate quickly and go right, let's get Areola in. It could be that there's no options on the table anyway, but we will try and do this as well. So yeah, no, I doubt we get too many as well. And so there's no shortlist for managers as long as we make Carrick, say Champions League, it's Carrick. That seems to be. I mean, there you go. So that seems to be something I got in the locker because it's kind of a Carrick situation. Is that yeah? If Michael Carrick according to Andy Mitten, who is Andy Mitten is one of the very reliable sources as well for Manchester United content, and he said this maybe like a day ago, 2 days ago, that as far as the conversation regarding manager goes, if Michael Carrick gets Champions League football, he keeps the job. I mean, whether that's going to be definitely true or not, I do not know. That's what people think. It seems to make a lot of sense. But yeah, this is Manchester United. So the fact something makes sense doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen. But I think most people look at it and think they think Michael Carrick's going to be in charge if we get Champions League football. And that does seem to be the logical case, doesn't it? It does seem to be the most likely scenario. So yeah, it might be tricky, Rob. given that what he's doing now, lots of other stuff. Let's look at some of the questions. Looks like Enrique said no. I think Enrique might have said yes to big, big wads of cash from Paris Saint-Germain. It happens. I think Mbappe found it difficult to turn down 100 million a year, whatever he got offered. So I'd be looking at this the same way. I think Luis Enrique will be. He's going to stay. If you're Luis Enrique, I think you stay at Paris Saint-Germain with that team, don't you? I don't think you. I don't think you look at walking away. Winners of bets says a win on Monday secures Champions League football. And so even if we secure Champions League football, we need to keep pushing for third. It would send out a statement, wouldn't it? If Manchester United could finish third in the league and finish above Liverpool after last season, if Liverpool won the Premier League, they spent about, what, 500 million on transfer signings. If Manchester United could finish above Liverpool in a season where they've replaced their head coach as well, then I think that sends out a statement that yeah, United would be definitely in the right direction. I say Rio Ferdinand, Ryan Giggs, Scholes, Eric Cantona, Rooney. Maybe did Owen Hargreaves say something as well? I'm trying to think. I think there's a lot of people that have come out and said they think that he's a good option. Sir Alex Ferguson, has he said that? Sir Alex Ferguson said that there is no other option. He is our manager. I mean, Alex Ferguson can say what he likes now, can he? Because he's not got a role. He lost his role at Manchester United, didn't he? That was the story we talked about as well. He lost his, didn't he have an ambassadorial role, which he doesn't have anymore? But no, I think most people associate with the club. Eric Cantona has genuinely got the best interest of the club at heart. So I think Eric Cantona is someone that looks at that as being someone that they respect him as being a good option. Um, yeah, the bass is yeah. We're forgetting Moyes. Like forget about Moyes. Forget about Moyes. No, I think with this though, it's doing well, isn't he? So that at the moment there's no drama at the club. It seems to be that a lot of the things that happen with certain players is now like Chelsea's problem, and Manchester United don't have an issue with many things now. You could say that Michael Carrick obviously there's a lot of work to do. Obviously, the experience level between being interim manager and having Champions League campaign is a big increase that no one's going to say it's not going to be levels up, but it's going to be levels up for any manager coming to Manchester United that you're going to be looking at this and thinking it's very, very difficult. So he lost his paid, okay, he lost the cash, but he's still got a voice on the board. Yeah, I can't remember his exact role at the club now, but he's certainly got some influence. I think the main thing also is going to be that does, you got Wilcox and you got Vavell. The one thing we don't really talk about is that how much how much does Michael Carrick's vision or what he wants to do, how much does that align with the people above him? But also, maybe Manchester United actually we had to put together the team behind Michael Carrick pretty rapidly, didn't we? If you remember the situation, we had to put these people together very quickly. I'm not sure, 100%, Cody. We we actually had we actually had looking at this, we had to put together the team behind Michael Carrick very very quickly, like very very quickly, and we it's worked out quite well. But this is something as well. Okay, Tyler Adams. I haven't done loads of research on him in comparison, Cody. I think he's considered, but I don't think he's a forerunner at the moment. But now, if you're looking at this, then Manchester United put together the backroom staff incredibly quickly, like very, very quickly. So one of the things I would look at is with Manchester United this season, then they might be looking at the situation towards the end of the season, thinking they keep Carrick, but maybe they change the coaches. Maybe they change some backroom staff a little bit like Alex Ferguson used to do every few years. He used to change the assistant manager quite a few times over his career. And maybe United look at go right, Carrick's done quite well, but we also need to look at maybe Holland, look at other coaches and go, maybe we can change the coaches and maybe that will help the whole team next season as well. So I think the Carrick situation looks like they're going to keep Carrick, but maybe they get different people to work alongside Carrick for the benefit of the team. That's kind of one angle I'm looking at. I think that might be sensible. So, I mean, I don't mind that approach. Um, welcome back, Foxy, as well. Also, thanks people that have been watching that then come back as well. I know we're kind of a new channel to a lot of people. It is appreciated. So, cheers, Foxy, saying Richard Rios started his career playing futsal. Okay, I'm kind of surprised actually that the Richard Rios situation, the fact he's gone to Benfica, Benfica doing well, that I don't know why they're looking to sell him. I mean, 39 million is more than they paid, but it's unless they're expecting, maybe they're expecting him to suddenly like go massively up in price over the World Cups, and maybe the 39 million for Richard Rios is a little bit of a maybe it's a bit misleading. Maybe it would actually end up edging up a little bit. So possibly it's not going to be a cheap option that we thought. But no, Richard Rios is the first player we talked about today. Actually, sorry, the first player we talked about for a week that fans are not that keen on. Like I know it was close, but it was 55% said no. So it's the first one. Sign Gomez and Adams. Yeah, I see where you're going with that one. So if anyone's got any final questions to get in, like so I'll be live for like another 2 minutes. If anyone's got any sort of final points, please don't forget to click the like as well. And don't you can't hype the stream at the moment until we get monetized, I believe. But if you can share the stream as well, that would be really helpful. We will be live tonight, like I said, and the Discord. If you got some suggestions, that's the place to post some information as well. Um, yeah, if you look, I think United are looking at some balance as well, though. I mean, Casemiro was good in the air, but I don't think every midfielder needs to be really tall. I mean, Tchouaméni is about 6'2", so he would be he would bring a physical presence as well. I mean, he does play centre back as well, so he does bring a bit of versatility. I can't remember off the top of my head how tall all the individual players are, but I think they're going to look for a range of skill sets. That's probably a factor. But I don't think Casemiro was overly tall. So and some of these players, like I can't remember the height of these individual players, but I'm sure they're looking at these all these sort of factors. Would be nice for Leeds to take points off Bournemouth tonight to seal that Champions League spot quickly. I suppose that Bournemouth are level on points. Are they Bournemouth level on points at Brighton, or are they a bit below? But I get the feeling that Bournemouth might take points off Leeds. Maybe I should time the stream tonight so that it kind of overlaps the game, so that when like we can discuss the games of the stream about halfway through, possibly regarding that one. Say Skulls, yeah. How tall's Modric? I mean, is there is if you're looking for someone that's going to be maybe dictating play from deep. I mean, actually, Skulls won a lot of stuff in the air as well, didn't he? Skulls won a lot of headers, scored a lot of goals from that. Say Skulls 168. Yeah, Skulls is like one of the shorter players, isn't he? So it's normal for Portuguese clubs to sign from South America cheap, make quick profit. Lately, though, Premier League clubs cutting out the middlemen, smaller European leagues buy direct from South America. Yeah, that's pushing up the price, isn't it? That I said as well that United. I did a story about Conceição yesterday and said there's a lot of quite often with this is kind of interesting actually because I'd say you're looking at two different countries, Portugal and Spain. What seemed to happen is Portuguese clubs were signing some of the South American players quite cheap, and then some of the better players were going through probably some of the better, well, or maybe more experienced or maybe higher level South American players, often going through Barcelona and Real Madrid. So if you look at that in terms of some of the players that have come through, definitely South American players being picked up by La Liga and the Portuguese league, and then flip to different ones. I think if they go to Barcelona and they go to Real Madrid, they're going to cost way more, aren't they? But maybe that's the so maybe like Benfica. Where'd they get Darwin Nunes from? But they definitely made some like big profit on a few players, didn't they? I swear Modric's just taller than Messi. Um, what are they? Modric 1.7 to 2. I mean, they're both quite short, and I'm not sure how much I am in centimeters. I think I'm like 183 maybe. I'm not sure 100%. 184, something like that, just over 6 foot. But also I'm not going to be playing in midfield, but I'm probably about the height of Beckham, or maybe a centimeter taller, something like that. But without the ability and the right foot, unfortunately. What time this afternoon? So it's like 2:40 now. I do actually need to really head off in about a minute. It's about 2:40 now, but I think actually the delivery's been delayed, so I could stay a bit longer. Do people want to keep the stream going for a little bit longer? I just realised that I thought there was something supposed to be arriving at 3, but it's going to be like 3:40 now, so I could stay a bit longer if people want to throw some questions in there. I don't think I've got the right age profile, to be fair. Um, yeah, I'm not. I'm the right height, but I don't have the technique or the age profile. The only thing that I've got going in my favor is that I'm willing to like take like a fraction of the salary. That's all I'll say. Hey, big up to you, Mr. B. Big up to you. Unfortunately, I can't redirect people at the moment until I get the channel back up to 1,000 subscribers, but that's something we can do quite soon, hopefully. So Scandinavian players really below 180. Yeah, I know that as well. Honestly, I remember I knew like just trying to think, not just Scandinavian players, but I knew I mean, I think when I was like 18 in university, there were some Dutch guys. They were all of like about 6'2" minimum, and no, exactly. A big up to you, PFCTV. Thanks for getting involved. Appreciate that. Also, Salik, good to see you in the live chat. Good to see you. Missed having a conversation. So, height. So we need players who have a lower center of gravity that can play football. Exactly. I think with Man United, if you're looking at balance, then we've got some physical players that have got some height. You look at like Aiden Heaven is going to be bringing that. We've got Kone who's got that as well. So we've got some younger players that do have the height. I think you need a mix there, don't you? For every enforcer, every like big powerful player, there's going to be definitely on the ball. You're going to want some skill in that 100%. Who would you like for the midfield this summer? Honestly, if I'm making the decision, okay, forget what we've been talking about for the last hour. If it's just me making the call and these are feasible, then I'm taking Anderson to start with. He might not be everybody's first choice, but I think it's low risk. Premier League, I think he'd be very good for our team. So I'd take Anderson to start with. Then I would probably be looking at, I don't think too many is feasible. I would be honestly interested in maybe Adam Wharton or Angela Stiller as another option. And then I'm kind of actually torn between that. Maybe it is difficult, isn't it? But I think that might be. I do quite like Alex Scott as well. I do quite like Fernandez. I think Buwadi would be like a nice wild card, but I think it'd be difficult to get him at the moment. If we get, I'm assuming we're getting three, so I maybe I'm taking Anderson, Wharton or Adams, and then a Buwadi. Maybe it is difficult though. I can see loads of arguments for any of these. I think Anderson would be my first one, and that might be the that might be the one I'd go for to start with. And then beyond that, I think it's difficult to pick one over the other. I think I maybe look for Angela Still and go like Vivell. You did well with the goalkeeper. Possibly that's going to be. I say perfect example was Chelsea bought Ramirez, David Luiz, Enzo Fernandez. Crazy money, really, wasn't it? Enzo was after the World Cup, wasn't he? Was Enzo bought after the World Cup when Argentina won it? Am I thinking of the right? Am I thinking of actually? Maybe I'm thinking of like Liverpool. No, they paid too much money, didn't they? Cucurella, you could say, like not because they bought Cucurella, like, but in terms of like buying players from Premier League clubs, is my example, they gave too much money to Brighton. And now, how much did when I was talking yesterday, Foxy? I was saying exactly this, that Estevao, I'm not sure how much Chelsea paid for him, but I think it's Palmeiras that have got, who is it? Like Palmeiras have Conceição coming through, who Manchester United were linked to, but also Barcelona are linked to. And they see him as breaking through into the first team just a bit earlier than Estevar. So when you're looking at players that are at that sort of age, he's 16 at the moment, they see him slightly ahead of Estevar at the same age. That's the sort of players Man United are looking at in South America, I think, where you're looking at this player and thinking, this was kind of the argument I was looking at. If Manchester United try and buy him, it's going to be about 34 million. So I'm just going to go through the comments a little bit. Say, yeah, so 30, if it was 30 million for Estevar, cheers, Jeff. Yeah, good options, definitely. Pretty solid. I think if you're looking at it, this was my argument yesterday. If you get Conceição for 34 million or Esteban for 30 million, the idea is that they cost 30 million instead of 1 or 2 years' time, you pay like Caicedo was like 112. So that's what you're looking at. 112 for Caicedo or something like that, 30 million for Esteban. So instead of teams like Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth getting players from South America, and instead of Benfica getting players from South America, Chelsea, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they're all actually looking at those sort of players. So Palmeiras seems to be one of the. There's a few academies, isn't there? Like Palmeiras have got these players coming through. Eduardo Conceição is great, but say also Eduardo Pape from um, Cruzeiro is one to keep an eye out as well. Manchester United bought a Roscoe, so they're looking into this. So I can't remember if you were in the stream yesterday. Was it yesterday morning? I was talking about this, but it's very difficult to try and explain to people why it might be a good idea, because on the face of it, it seems like it's risky because it's a player people haven't heard of and players people don't know much about. But when I was talking about Conceição, I was using Estevao as an example and saying he's rated a little bit more than Estevao was at the same age. I mean, a long way to go for everybody, but it could mean that Estevao, the trajectory he's had in terms of playing for Chelsea, it could be that you have that sort of option coming through as well. So, and Eduardo, yeah. Are you in the Discord? Because it'd be really good to actually get your thoughts on these sort of things. Or if you have information, then absolutely fantastic because it really kind of helps. I say, yeah, Chelsea are more of a business than a football club, aren't they? They're more of Sebastian, do you want to join on the weekend? Because if you do, then we're going to have like 15-minute time slots. So if you got 15 minutes, 20 minutes spare, then you're welcome. It won't be like people coming on for like an hour or so. It'll be people coming on 15-minute time slots. Yeah. No, so when I was talking about this was kind of my thoughts about, say, Conceição, Estevao, and sort of those sort of South American signings for the future, is that their signings, but the idea is that they would break into the first team in about maybe 18 months, 2 years' time. Whereas if you buy Anderson or you buy Tchouaméni or you buy, say, any of these players, like you're looking at Tonali, Stiller, Wharton, they're ready now. So I think United have to do this now. They have to get players that are ready right now, but you also have to look at what is going to be the best option in 3 years' time. Like Man United don't want to spend £100 million for a player that's 18, 19, but if you can get a player that's going to cost you 30, 34, 30, like that sort of price, then that might be a really good deal. You might save a lot of money. So this is something that like, people are noticing it, and it's happening more and more, isn't it? That teams are sort of realizing that they can't keep buying players for 100 million plus and giving loads and loads of money to Sporting Lisbon, Benfica, Brighton. People are too savvy now. So I will have to go in probably about 5 minutes. I know I extended the stream quite a lot. Agile Beast, welcome to chat though. Good to see you, my friend. Could have bought Richard Rios last summer when we needed a midfielder. We could have, couldn't we? I don't know why we didn't. I think we were too worried about signing non-Premier League players last season for a lot of it. I think that's what we saw, and maybe that was the issue. Big up to Tiger Claws as well. Welcome to the chat. Is this the first time you found the new channel, Tiger Claws? I'm not sure if it is, but if it isn't, then welcome back. And we've had to have a bit of a rebrand for reasons which I don't want to go into again, but welcome back. Chelsea might not get European positions. That is true. Chelsea might have one of the worst managers in the Premier League at the moment as well. But this is also, I think, it's also a fact at the moment. But for people just joining, we did talk about Richard Rios just to vary the news story a little bit, but no one was actually thinking Richard Rios is going to be the option we want. But a few journalists have been sharing a few different stories saying that, they're saying that Richard Rios has got this 39 million pound offer, which would be accepted. But also, as people said, Benfica are just there to flip accounts and just to make money. So it's not necessarily something that United are looking at. And that's why I had, had this on screen and said, if you want to know who Man United are buying, this is it. But I don't know which one it is. But it'll be one or two on this list, I think. But there is potential for like maybe one that's not on the list. But no, has anyone got like a final question to end on? I know I'm really bad at ending streams, so if anyone's got like one final question that just to wrap it up, for people that just tuned in though, we did a vote and Richard Rios was not favoured by Manchester United fans. That's what I'm saying. No, I appreciate that. So if anyone's got like a final question, then I'd said like I think my top three are probably going to be Anderson, Stiller, and maybe I don't know. Difficult to pick, isn't it? Maybe difficult. Maybe Adams possibly at the moment. I quite like what it was doing. I'm open minded about Bieber, but concerned about the price. Favorite drink. I'm drinking a lot of coffee at the moment. Unsurprisingly, considering the streams are like very very long, late at night and early morning. But yeah, I quite like coffee. Quite like tea. If we're talking alcoholic, then if Stephanie's in the chat, Guinness is probably up there. So I know fans get annoyed with buying youth players that won't be ready for 2 to 3 years and want players right now. But with such a crucial, it's such a yeah, it's something that Manchester United. I'll end on this point. Everybody wants immediate success, and it's very difficult to get immediate success without putting in the groundwork, which does take years. And Manchester United at the moment, this season, we are benefiting from buying Aiden Heaven. We're benefiting from buying Dorgu, and most fans were not overly impressed when we signed those two players. That's just two names. We've got Orozco, we've got Leon, we've got Chido, and other people behind this that are hopefully going to filter through to the first team. Manchester United will be not trying to do someone like I didn't know about Estevao when Chelsea bought him, but I certainly know about him now. And people didn't know necessarily about Belieber before he went to Brighton, and they certainly do now. And I know some people will scout players, but a lot of people will just be following a couple of teams or a couple of leagues. And I'd say that you have to plan for years and you have to plan regularly. So you have to get the players, United have to get players that are ready now, but also behind the scenes, you have to plan for 2 or 3 years' time. So you have to buy the next generation of talent. That's something that we can talk about now, but we won't really know how well we've done until 2027, 2028, 2029. And that's why there is like a long-term plan to try and win things in a few years' time. It's just something that takes time and you have to go through. But I think it's something that Manchester United do seem to be looking at, and maybe we are making some steps in the right direction. That would be that would be good. Tiger Claus says too many Anderson Bruno would be one of the best midfielders in the world. See, I don't see it sadly, but your realistic picks are Baliba, Buwadi, and Gomez. Yeah, when you think about it, too many Anderson and Bruno Fernandes. I mean, if Bruno Fernandes can do what he's doing this season, cheers, Bilal. If Bruno Fernandes can do what he's doing this season with a world class player behind him alongside Mainu, or a world class player pushing to try and get Mainu's place as well, that could be crazy, couldn't it? That could be crazy. And so hopefully something like that will happen, but we'll be covering every little story along the way and covering that. We'll be live tonight. I'm not sure what time because this has gone on a bit later than I thought, but I will post things in the Discord and Facebook group when I know. But it's probably going to be possibly like 7, 7:30, 8 p.m. start, possibly, but I'll let you guys know. Until then, thank you for watching. Thanks so much for the comments and questions. Thanks for getting involved in the vote. Thanks to people that shared the stream. And welcome back to the people that found us that used to know us before. And we'll see you guys tonight. Until then, have a great rest of your day. And we will catch you guys in the next one.